This webinar will discuss how industries using mobile devices in challenging work environments are counting the cost of using the wrong kit. We'll also explore how best to go about selecting devices for your organisation and learn from those who are getting it right. To help tackle this, we're joined by James Summers, founder and CEO of CONKER, Brett Cooper, Senior Geotechnical Software Specialist at Fugro, and Andrew Hobbs, Research Analyst, Enterprise Technology at Incisive Media.
Well, fundamentally, the issue with putting shoulder pads on something is that it doesn't stop you getting smacked in the face. And shoulder pads look good, you know, we get the idea, and sure, that is part of protecting a device. But there is a lot more that you want to protect, and the working conditions that people are discussing there, even the connectivity issue that seems like it's a little on a tangent, you know, organizations demand all of that. Putting shoulder pads on a device won't generally protect from liquids, won't generally protect from bright light, won't generally protect from extreme temperatures, both high and low, something that batteries in regular devices don't like. So ruggedization is about much more than just that tough look, just those shoulder pads, as it were.
If you're going to purchase a number of devices, then approach the suppliers early, and most suppliers are more than happy to work with you and give you demo devices. Get your hands on them, take them out to where you're actually going to use them, and test them properly.
There's also standard industry data out there for failure rates, and obviously everything will vary for that, and so users can ask those questions. I think failure rates in year one for consumer devices when they're used in a context where a rugged device would have been suitable is about 18%, and over 3 years it's almost 100%.
I've got a cheeky little question here from Tristan. It's a very cheeky question, you'll love it. He says, new iPhones are rated to IP69. CONKER offer products up to IP67. What additional features does CONKER offer?
It's really about serviceability, and the interesting thing about consumer devices and the growth in IP protection in consumer devices is just the amount of stories where people tell me about their wife dropping it in the toilet and proving that the IP protection isn't there. Because what happens when you drop a device is that actually you start to wear down seals. A couple of devices drops in the house, a couple of drops in the street, and then suddenly it gets wet and you wonder why that ingress protection that you were sold on is no longer there.
So we asked what are your organisation's main motivations behind using mobile devices. We asked participants to select 3 maximum, so although some of those further down may be of interest to participants, we're trying to get a handle on what the main motivations are, and unsurprisingly productivity gains has come out on top at just under half, and that's obviously linked with connectivity and communication. And perhaps the other side of this productivity coin is improved working environment. I think the motivations behind using mobile devices are well established by now, so I probably don't need to talk too much about that, but I think what's interesting here is when a mobile device goes down, you're losing all these advantages, you're losing those productivity gains, the ability to collect data.
Historically, rugged devices have usually had user replaceable batteries, but that function of the device is added to the overall bulk of the device. And I think where there's this real push for the device to be ever smaller and ever more portable, even with rugged, which is always going to be that little bit larger than consumer devices, we're now offering, and other people in the market are offering, devices that don't have user replaceable batteries. And that's going to come down to the individual choice as to how you handle that. What's still critical though is that device isn't sealed, isn't glued together, so it comes down to the serviceability of the device. CONKER's view on this is straightforward. We're not in the box shipping business, we're in the uptime business. We hold more parts value than we do stock. That immediacy of availability for support, for parts, for repair, that whole service element, that's actually more important than getting the box out in the first instance.
Now, Andrew, unless I'm very much mistaken, you've got even more research for us.
I do. So we've got a couple of statements now that really just reinforce the findings we've seen so far. First up, we asked, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being strongly disagree and 5 being strongly agree, to what extent do you agree with the following statements? First up, we said the short life cycle of consumer devices makes them more expensive in the long run. And we've talked a bit about this already, but you can see here that it's very strongly weighted to the agree side, and I think it's clear from that that many people have been stung in the past by specifying consumer devices, and then having issues with reliability down the line.
I think they need help with understanding that fit-for-purpose piece. Organisations come to us rightly with a concern about cost, and rightly with a motivation to boost productivity, and those answers have screamed through in the data in the answers to the surveys posted today. But people still need help with that fit-for-purpose piece, and really sort of calls out to what Brett is saying about testing devices. It's not just a case of choosing a commodity like you perhaps do a desktop PC. That device has got to go out in the field. You've got to start with one, and it's got to be in the hands of your users, because if there isn't user acceptance, then the project fails. You might spec a device, you know, a 7-inch that's on the desk here, and the user says, but I can't see the information, or conversely, that it's too big, I need it to fit in my pocket. That real-world testing's got to be done.
And that concludes today's computing webinar, the business rugged sweet spot, choosing fit-for-purpose, robust mobile devices and service models, kindly sponsored by CONKER.